OK， 唔講其他嘢啦。今日我所講嘅題目就係講開拓者呢個志願者嘅異象嘅使命同埋佢哋嘅動能係點樣。
And today we will talk. The title of today is the pioneers. How the volunteer being motivated.
我哋睇一睇呢個以斯拉記第一章，然後再讀第二章。
And first we will look at the book of Ezra, chapter 1, and then we will also look at chapter 2.
波斯王古列元年，耶和華為要應驗藉耶利米口所說的話，就激動波斯王古列的心，使他下詔通告全國說：波斯王古列如此說，耶和華天上嘅神已經將天下萬國賜給我，又囑咐我在猶大的耶路撒冷為他建築殿宇，在你們中間凡作他子民的，可以上猶大的耶路撒冷，在耶路撒冷重建耶和華以色列神的殿。願神與這人同在。
In the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, in order to fulfill the word of the Lord spoken by Jeremiah, the Lord moved the heart of Cyrus, king of Persia, to make a proclamation throughout his realm and also to put in writing. This is what Cyrus, king of Persia, said. The Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdom of the earth, and he had appointed me to build a temple for him at Jerusalem in Judah. Any of his people among you may go up to Jerusalem in Judah and build the temple of the Lord, the God of Israel, the God who is in Jerusalem, and may their God be with them.
凡剩下的人，無論寄居在何處，那地的人要用金銀財物牲畜幫助他，另外也要為耶路撒冷神的殿甘心獻上禮物。於是猶太和便雅憫的族長、祭司、利未人，就是一切被神激動他心的人，都起來要上耶路撒冷去建造耶和華的殿。
And in any locality where survivor may now be living, the people are to provide them with silver and gold and goods and livestock and with freewill offering for the temple of God in Jerusalem. Then the family heads of Judah and Benjamin and the priests and Levites, everyone whose heart God hath moved, prepare to go up and build a house of the Lord in Jerusalem.
父神，我哋多謝你嘅話，我哋喜愛你嘅話。
Father, we thank you for your word and we delight in your word.
因為你嘅話就係靈，就係生命。
Because your word is power and your life.
今日藉着你嘅話語救活我哋。
And through your word, today may you save us.
我哋樂意嚟去敬聽。
And we listen carefully.
我哋咁樣禱告，奉主耶穌基督名求。
We pray this in Jesus' name.
阿門。
Amen.
我首先講一講古列王呢個波斯王古列。
And the king of Persia, Cyrus.
佢係一個好好嘅皇帝嚟嘅。
He is a very good king.
其實神咧早已經咧響大約係公元前咧700年嘅時候，藉著以賽亞咧就預言佢話佢要提名呼召呢一個古列王。
That about 700 BC, God have through Isaiah have mentioned his name, that he will rise up his servant Cyrus.
其實神咧真係講過兩個人係提個名啦，老早咧預言佢哋會出現嘅，一就古列，一個就係約西亞王。
And God actually have forementioned two names. One is Cyrus, and the other one is Josiah.
咁但係真係響150年之後咧。呢一個公元大約547年嘅時候咧，呢個古列王真喺波斯出現。
And indeed, about the 550 BC, that Cyrus did appear in the history.
單止咁樣，呢個外邦嘅王咧，起咗呢個心意係要重建耶路撒冷神嘅殿。
And not only that he have a heart to rebuild a temple in Jerusalem.
佢就下咗聖旨啦，就係咧。頒布就凡係願意嘅猶太人係樂意甘心樂意返到巴勒斯坦參與呢個兒女日都可以咁樣去。
And he sent out proclamation that whoever the Israelite is willing to go back to Palestine, they can do so.
我哋今日就睇一睇呢咁嘅故事，你明白呢個故事嘅意思係乜嘢，可以運用我哋心裏邊。
So that we can look at the story and understand what is meaning.
嗱，我哋一個秘訣學神嘅話語就係，如果我哋會更加清楚明白神嘅話語嘅時候咧，我哋要幻想下今當我哋讀呢個經文咧係第一次讀嘅。
And to be able to understand, what the secret to understand God's word more clearly is to imagine that we are reading this portion of scripture for the first time.
亦知道佢下咗呢個聖旨之後有乜嘢嘅後果，有咩嘅反應。
And to see what kind of reactions we will have.
當你唔知道嘅時候，你可以咧了解得更加多。
And when you know you put away what you know, then you may understand
就
more.
一樣，我哋幻想一下，當古列王下咗啲聖旨之後，到底啲人有幾多人係願意踏出嚟做呢個志願者咧？
So when Cyrus, the king of Persia, put out this proclamation, how many people are actually willing to volunteer?
嗱，未睇件事之前，我要再睇睇個環境係點樣嘅當時。
So let us look at the background at this time.
原來當時呢個巴勒斯坦咧已經係荒涼咗70年咁耐。
And at this time that the Palestine is in ruins for 70 years now.
70年之前呢個巴比倫王尼布甲尼撒咧係拆毀呢個城，係用火燒咗，同埋大屠城、大屠殺嘅。
And about 70 years before, the king of Babylon came and took over the city and burned the city and also massacred the city.
當地變成為一個廢墟。
So it became desolate.
而呢個咁嘅尼布甲尼撒咧係遷徙咗一啲零丁落索嘅民族咧嚟到響當中係做牧羊。
And he also, the king Nebuchadnezzar also moved a group of people to shepherd
因
there.
為唔係一個城市嚟㗎，係一個廢墟嚟嘅。
So it's no longer a city, it's actually a ruin.
所以70年之前係咁樣，70年之後係亦都係咁樣，係一個垂堂敗瓦、滿目瘡痍嘅一個地方。
And it's like that for 70 years. It's a place that's devastated.
嗱，我哋停一停呢度，再睇另一個比例，我先至再比較一下。我哋都會明白咧，當摩西帶以色列人返埃及嘅時候嚟到相比一下。
So we'll do a comparison as when Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt.
當摩西帶啲以色列人出嘅時候，佢哋冇問題走嘅。當摩西帶以色列人出埃及嘅時候，佢一叫你冇問題走嘅。
And when Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, they are willing to go right away.
因為以色列人係做奴隸啊嘛，係被人欺壓啊嘛。
Because they were slaves at the time and they were oppressed.
佢哋咧，摩西根本唔需要揾志願者要同佢一齊翻去，佢啲人根本唔需要鼓勵，佢哋已經係老早咧有咁嘅動機。
And Moses did not have to go and find volunteers and to motivate them to come with him.
尤其是神應許佢哋帶去迦南地一個流奶與蜜嘅地方，有春雨秋雨之福嘅。
Especially God is calling to a place of that's flowing with the milk and honey.
仲有個神應承話，你哋要去到呢個迦南地咧，要所得嘅一切嘅城啊、房屋啊、葡萄園啊、果園啊、田地啊，都全部係現成嘅，係唔使你哋勞碌嚟，已經俾咗你噶啦。
And when you go to this land, everything is ready made for you. The houses, the fields, the vineyards, and everything.
佢聽到之後流晒口水，心花怒放啊！太十二嘅精神咧，點解咧？佢哋唔需要任何嘅動機，都係可以咁樣做。
And when they hear that they were enthusiastic, they don't have need to be motivated to go out of Egypt.
由奴隸變成為主人擁一個地方係升級嘅。
And it is for them that they have moved from being a slave to a master.
所以好肯定啦，好多人咧就真係要一齊去走，甚至乎唔走得嗰啲要走。
And for sure, everyone is willing to go. Even those who can't go want to go as
所以
well.
喺講要走嘅時候，有60萬嘅步行嘅男人，加上婦女啊、兒女啊，起碼有200萬嘅人一齊走。
At that time, about 600,000 men followed Moses. So, including the children and women, is probably about 2 million.
唔單止嗰班人嘅喎，聖經裏邊講仲有一班叫閒雜人，等即係唔係識人嘅嗰啲人咧，係聽到咁嘅事，哇咁好啊！我哋都一齊跟住你走啦咁樣。
Not only Israelites, but other people who heard about this were willing to go with the Israelites as well.
呢件事同呢一個古列王所頒布嘅係完全係唔同。
And this situation is completely different than the situation when Cyrus, the king of Persia, put out this proclamation.
因為當時嘅波斯裏邊嘅猶太人翻巴勒斯坦咧，唔係升級，乃係降級。
Because for the Israelites to go from Persia back into Palestine is actually a downgrade.
我呢幾個禮拜已經解釋過啦，就係呢個巴比倫居住嘅以色列人已經有70年咁耐啦。
And mentioned before that Israelites have lived in Persia for 70 years now.
佢哋嘅遭遇係好唔同，因為咧佢當中有末底改啊、但以理啊、以斯帖啊之類咧，或者尼希米咧，響朝廷裏邊係做命官。
And their encounter is different. Is that because they have Daniel, Esther, Mordecai, and Nehemiah, they were high officials in the government.
尤其是經過呢個末底改同埋哈曼嘅爭鬥之後咧，以色列人嘅地位係提得好高嘅。
And especially after Mordecai, that their status of the Israelites have been risen.
再加上佢哋70年裏邊咧，耶利米叫佢哋話你被擄約70年啦，所以你哋咧要安定響當中，自買房屋、投資本地、分價、落地生根。
That especially Jeremiah had instructed them that they will be there for 70 years, so they should buy houses, invest in the local business, and also to take root in the land.
當時咧，古列王咧係揾志願者係一班安居樂業、生活好安定、好食好住一班人，有地位、有財產嘅人咧嚟到做志願。
And Cyrus, the king of Persia at this time, were looking for volunteers from a group of people who have settled down and living a good life.
放棄呢個波斯裏邊嘅富貴啊、富裕啊、物業啊、產業啊，嚟到呢個荒廢嘅窮鄉僻壤裏邊去重建呢個廢墟。
And asking people to leave the affluence of Persia and go to this remote and backward, desolate place to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem.
常理睇嚟係嗰個可能性係好細嘅。
Common sense told us the possibility is very low.
有邊個肯將佢奢華咁安息嘅生活嚟換咗一啲咁艱苦嘅生活咧？
And whoever would in their right mind would give up such a good life and go into hardship.
一想到嗰度又冇酒店住啦，又冇好嘅床瞓啦，居無定所，甚至乎咧俾啲當地嘅人咧會嚟到攻打佢哋嘅。
Not only they will not have Not only that they will not have a place to stay, they will be even facing attack from the local people.
尤其是我哋當中啲中國人啊，
especially among the
唐
Chinese,
人係最講現實嘅，
and they are very practical.
邊度好穩嘅、好舒服、好富庶，我哋去嗰度；邊度咧唔好穩有動盪嘅時候，我哋就走人啦。
And wherever place that we can make money and there's a good living, then we'll go there. And that any turbulence in that place, then we'll leave.
咁你諗下，你今當古列王咁嘅要求啊，有幾多人會踏出呢個去到作呢個回應咧？
So how many will respond to the call of Cyrus?
有幾多個咧？
How many?
我哋未讀到下邊嘅答案啊，不如再講先。上幾個禮拜講到耶利米嘅時候，佢居然願意去。
And last couple of weeks ago, we mentioned about Nehemiah that he was willing to go.
佢雖然有咁富貴嘅生活，但係佢願意咁做。
Even though he lived a very wealthy life, but he was willing to go and do
佢都
so.
講到有呢個現代嘅有咩 Nelson Mandela 啦、馬丁路德啦、孫中山啊，都係有類似嘅心智，都係唔會貪圖安逸，肯放棄一切嘅榮華富貴。
And in recent years, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, also Dr. Sun Yat-sen as well, they were willing to not to settle for this comfort that they have.
因為呢啲有使命感嘅人，佢哋係願意造福人群嘅。
And because they have a sense of mission and they want to bless the people
但係
around
今
them.
日我唔係講呢一班人嘅喎，
But today we're not talking about this group of people.
我要矯正一樣嘅就係，我哋有陣時以為咧，往往以為咧，呢個世界上只係得呢幾位罕見嘅人係絕無僅有嘅，其他人就唔會噶啦。
And very often we thought that these group of people, they are a rarity, they are unique.
今日我希望你知道，原來唔係咁嘅。
I want you to know today, is that not the way it is?
除咗呢班有咁嘅使命感之外嘅人咧，原來世界上仲有好多無數嘅無名嘅志願者、開國者，我哋當中。
And beside these people who have a sense of mission, there are also those who are nameless volunteers and pioneers among us.
喺呢個以斯拉記呢個古列王呢件事就係咁嘅明顯啦。
And in Ezra chapter 2, it gives us the answer.
呢個你估到有幾多人肯翻去呢個參與呢個義舉咧？
So how many were willing to go back to build the temple in
我曾
Jerusalem?
經講過以斯拉記第2章有講個答案嘅就係第2章第1節、第64節同埋65節，我唔讀啦。你大家睇到明光幕嘅，總共咧係有49897人，差唔多5萬人。
In chapter 2, verse 64 and 65, I will not read it, but we did a total tally that there was about 49,897 person who respond.
原來唔係只係得尼希米，唔係只係得以斯拉，嗱係仲有咁5萬人肯咁樣做嘅，咁傻瓜去做嘅。
And not only Nehemiah, but there are about 50,000 fools who are willing to do that.
你話有冇搞錯？嗰班人發神經啊！咁蠢嘅貼錢買難受，自己攞嚟衰喎。
Are they fools? Why would they give up all those, the thing that they have?
如果你咁諗，你諗錯啦。所以今日要矯正呢個咁嘅錯誤嘅觀念。
And perhaps if you think this way, then you have a wrong mentality.
尤其是大多數嘅中國人一個普世觀念嘅錯誤。
And very often the worldview of the Chinese have mistaken.
我哋要明白，原來一個人嘅滿足感一個價值觀咧，唔係在乎銀碼，唔係在乎舒服，唔係在乎安樂嚟到衡量嘅。
We need to understand that our value does not depend on the amount of money or the amount of comfort that we have.
我哋唔係計過晒所有頭先所講嘅一切嘢，然後衡量我哋決定到底去唔去回應，還是唔去回應。
And we do not tally all the things that we mentioned before, and to decide whether we respond or not.
因為呢一個係只不過係最低嘅價值觀。
And because this is the least the basis of the value
我
system.
哋要明白神俾每一個神嘅兒女有一個更高嘅滿足感同埋價值觀嘅。
We need to understand that God has given us a higher level of
就
satisfaction,
要達到神所賜俾我哋嘅最高嘅潛力，
and a value system is to attain the potential that God
嚟
has
到
given
服
us,
侍我哋嘅世代，服侍我哋呢個社會，
and to serve our society, our world.
為我哋社會嚟到貢獻我哋力量，盡我哋嘅綿力嚟造福人群，先係我哋上心嘅樂事。
And it will bring us pleasure to be able to contribute whatever we have to benefit mankind.
我哋要明白，原來啲新聞啊、歷史裏邊淨係提呢幾個人啊，尼希米啊、以斯拉啊、Nelson Mandela、馬丁路德金格同埋呢個孫中山。
That the people in history that was mentioned in this world, like Nehemiah, Nelson Mandela, and Dr. Sun Yat-sen.
但係我哋好少着眼嘅，原來佢哋周圍有一班無數嘅同志、志同道合嘅人，係佢哋嘅親密嘅戰友，係佢哋嘅擁躉。
But very often we don't see the fans and the people who are fighting alongside those people.
呢啲咁嘅人嘅成功，就係由於佢周圍有一班寂寂無名嘅志願嘅人員，肯一同嚟去犧牲嚟到去建設
The
呢個社會。
success of these people depend on those people around them who are also willing to do the sacrifice.
呢一班無名嘅寂寂無名嘅志願者，係立咗好多嘅血汗馬功勞。
And these nameless volunteers, they should receive a lot of the credit.
冇咗佢哋呢一班咁嘅超卓領袖咧，係絕對唔可以成就佢哋心目中所要成就嘅使命。
And without them, the people who have a sense of mission will never, these leaders will not be able to accomplish what they have in their mind.
所以今日我所要講就係呢一班寂寂無名嘅志願嘅人員。
So today I want to talk about these nameless volunteers.
講到佢哋抱負，講到佢哋使命，講到佢哋心志。
And to talk about their mentality, their ambition.
佢哋樂意接納佢哋嘅角色，雖然係冇名嘅角色，佢哋願意扮演佢哋所有嘅扮演嘅身份。
And they are willing to accept their role, even though they know that they will not be famous.
佢哋擁抱嗰個認同嘅領袖嗰個使命嘅意象。
they embrace and identify with the vision of the leader.
佢同樣係犧牲，冇貪圖安逸，冇貪圖呢個享樂。
And they do not covet the comfort and enjoyment that they have.
我會講好多不同嘅例子，因為實例容易過講個道理。
And I will give you some examples because it's easier to convey that than the principle.
我哋飲水，我哋需要思源，因為我哋今日之所以能夠享受加拿大，就係因為先前嘅開拓者、無名嘅開拓者所建立嘅。
And we today are able to enjoy Canada because of the pioneers of the earliest settlers.
我哋有一切嘅都好方便啊，開水一開就得啦，開電一開就得。但係你知唔知？我哋有好多嘅嘢，原來係有人建設過嚟嘅。
And many of convenience that we have right now, like water and electricity, are built by others.
好多上一代嘅老華僑啊，係賣豬仔過嚟起加拿大嘅鐵路，跨越全國嘅。
And many of the old Chinese immigrants, they came over to build the railway across
但係鐵
Canada.
路公路啊，鐵路嘅公路啊，電纜嘅電話線啦，聖羅斯蘭書水道啦，地下嘅水渠啊，之類嘅。
And they built the expressways. They put up the cable for electricity and the telephone, and also the St. Lawrence Seaway, as well as the underground sewage.
呢班無名嘅志願者係赴湯蹈火，在所不辭嘅。
And these group of people, they are willing to go to the limits to attain what they
但
want.
我哋需要知道，做志願工作唔係等於做一個遊船河嘅遊客一樣。
But you need to know, as a volunteer, is not like taking a cruise.
因為好大嘅挑戰，好大嘅艱難。
And because there's a lot of challenges.
尼希米記講到咧，當佢哋翻去建造城牆嘅時候咧，有當地人要威脅佢哋攻打，用武力嚟攻打佢哋。
And when Nehemiah went back to build the walls, they were threatened by the people around them.
所以佢一面修造呢個城牆，一面咧就要背起刀啊、劍啊、槍嚟到咧係做呢個防禦備戰嘅攻勢。
And as they were building the wall, they had to carry a weapon with them and ready to defend themselves.
又冇得瞓，又冇得食，
They have no place to sleep and no food to eat.
但係甘心樂意做，佢哋願意咁樣做。
But they never give up, and they're
因
willing
為
to
呢
do
個
so.
佢知道係神俾佢哋使命，佢哋就樂意接受。
And this is what God commanded them to do, so they're willing to do it.
當我喺呢個黑人教會裏邊做牧會嘅時候，聽到最初啲黑人點樣建築佢哋嘅教堂喺美國。
And when I was pastoring the black church, that they related to me how the black people built their first building.
最近亦都睇一個即係CBC 一個影片啊，一連串嘅都係講到咧啲黑人嗰個屬靈嗰個心。
And through a short film that we see the heart of the black people as they work on the
原
building.
來當佢哋最初建造呢個聖殿嘅時候，佢哋冇請建築師啊，冇請建築商嚟幫佢建堂嘅。
And when they first built the church, they did not hire an architect or a builder.
佢哋全部都親力親為，用自己嘅雙手，用自己嘅血汗嚟去建造。
And they have to do it themselves, and they have used their own hands.
因為冇錢啊嘛，你做奴隸嘅時候幾多錢可以咁做啊？所以咧，佢哋好多又用現成嘅嘢嚟到去做。
At the time they were slaves, so they have no money to, and they cannot afford to do that.
佢哋都唔可以一同嚟到放假一齊做啊！
And neither could they take a vacation from their work.
你話約定啦，3個月大家個個去放晒假嚟到起教堂，係唔可以嘅。啲主人唔會俾你咁做。
And the masters will not allow them to take 3 months of vacation to build a church.
佢點樣做咧？
So what did they do?
佢哋落咗班之後，響公餘嘅，即係話日以繼夜，等佢哋放咗工之後，就做一個夜班加班嚟做。
So after they build their church after work,
好辛苦，
it's very hard.
但係佢哋願意咁樣犧牲捨己嚟做，因
Yet
為
they're willing
接受
to
呢個使命。
sacrifice and to accept this mission.
原來有志願嘅人員咧，係肯任勞任怨，係肯付出代價嘅。
And those who have a sense of mission, they work very hard and willing to make the sacrifice.
其實我親眼見到喺1980年嘅時候，我哋間教會起嘅時候係有類似嘅情況。
And it is in the 1980 when we built this church, we see a similar thing.
我今日多講少少關於我哋嘅過去嘅歷史，好唔好啊？
And I'll relate to you a little bit about history of this church
我哋最初
today.
喺1980年嘅時候仲係租緊呢一個黑人嘅教會，個屋主要加租由500蚊加到我諗係550蚊咁上下。
And at that time in 1980s, we were renting from a black people's church. And at that time, the landlord wanted to raise the rent from $500 to $550.
我就覺得冇選擇㗎啦，要加你唔通揾個大嘅地方要搬咩？
I thought that I had no choice. We have to stay, but we can just move somewhere else.
但係有一日咧，因純節就係呢一個Freddy嘅爸爸一世伯就係講俾佢聽，我哋唔係冇選擇㗎，教會唐人街有一塊地㗎。
And but one day, the senior Mr. Yan, Freddy's father, told me that we do have a choice, because we have a piece of land near Chinatown.
完全唔知呢件事。
I have no idea.
佢帶我落嚟呢個地方睇呢個地方，話我哋應當就係建堂，但係唔應該係租堂。
And he took me and came down to survey the land and said that we should build a church and not to rent a place.
你帶領啦，我支持你。
He said you take the lead and I'll support you.
但係佢冇想過嗰陣時，我係只不過嚟到啱啱做咗未夠1年，係完全冇經驗嘅，尤其是冇經驗建堂添嘅。
And they didn't realize at the time I've only been on the job for a little bit more than a year. I have no experience, and of course, I don't even have experience in building a church.
咁我又傻瓜瓜喎，翻去教會裏邊去投票話，到底去唔去建堂？
And so by the time we just went back to church and took a vote where to build a church.
嗰陣時都係冇經驗嗰個地步咧，我哋係用舉手投票㗎，冇經過長期嘅討論啊，要知道有幾多錢先起得到嘅，咁就已經投票啦。
And we are so inexperienced that we vote by a raise of hand, and we didn't calculate the cost of how to build a church.
即係等於我哋簽咗張支票，仲未知道個支票需要幾多錢，咁我哋負唔負擔得起，就已經寫咗出去啦。個結果係決定要建堂。
But at the time that the decision was made that we will build our church.
其實嗰陣時我哋係不知天高地厚，就係自不量力嘅，因為教會嗰陣時只係得50人。
And at the time that we have an exaggerated opinion of our abilities, and we bit off more than we can chew, because at the church we only have about 50 people.
嘅工作人員都係車衣啊、餐館人員啊，或者退休嘅老人家啊，甚至乎咧後生嗰啲就係大學生。
And most of the people, the congregation were either government workers or retirees, or someone maybe younger who are university students.
正式賺得錢嘅可能係幾個青年嘅專業人員啊，5、6個咁之類嘅。
And those who actually have an income or making money are about 5 to 6 people.
我哋教會嘅全年嘅收入係17000蚊。
At that time, the annual income of the church is about $17,000.
差唔多可以話咧，唔可以負擔得起一個牧師嘅薪水，唔可以負擔一個牧師嘅薪水嘅。
And if we couldn't even afford the salary of a pastor.
所以請一個平平地嘅啱啱神學畢業嘅嚟，佢唔需要要求咁高嘅，但係經過我哋估計估價嘅時候畫咗職。
So after that, we have a drawing of the church, and then we did estimate.
起一層加上個土庫，係居然係要48萬咁多錢。
To have 2 levels, the ground floor and the basement, it will cost us about $480,000.
當我哋聽到48萬嘅時候，嚇到我怕晒，我邊有咁嘅可能啊？冇辦法負擔得起嘅。
And we saw this figure, and we saw that there's no way we could afford this.
但係冇辦法啦，咁啊睇啲畢業問佢話可唔可以減平啲話支處理㗎咁樣，咁收尾就話試下減低咗個土庫啦，你根本用唔到嘅話就減低個土庫，咁收尾減到32萬。
So we asked them, can it make way to make it cost less? So they took away the basement and not build a basement, and the price came down to $220,000.
嗰陣時啊，好在教會裏邊咧有9萬蚊嘅現款，就係因為政府遷拆我哋嘅舊堂係賠償，我哋賣咗塊地之後仲剩翻9萬蚊。
At that time, actually, the church does have the $90,000 in the bank because after they appropriated our old building. And after we bought this land, we still have about $90,000
但係
left.
32萬喎，等於我哋嘅每年嘅17000蚊嘅20倍咁上下咁高嘅費用，我點能夠負擔得起咧？
And but for 320,000, that's about 20 times our yearly income. How can we afford it?
我唔知點解當時執事咧係冇畏懼，冇放棄呢個異象。
I don't know why the deacons at the time, they did not give up on this vision.
我哋呢一班咁年輕嘅領袖咧，係覺得我哋係非勢力、非才能啦，係靠主嘅靈方能成事。
At that time, the young leaders said, not by might and not by power, but by the Spirit of God, that we can accomplish this
所以
thing.
我哋喺鼓作氣就出去籌錢，
So they went out and fundraised.
最後籌到5萬蚊啊！
And after their effort, they were able to raise about $50,000.
其實啲會友響17000蚊至到5萬蚊，就3倍嘅，唔用即係等於4倍加埋平日嗰17000蚊，係唔容易嘅，好吃力㗎。
And to be able to raise that amount is not easy, because that really is quadruple the income of church, the yearly income of the church.
個個都樂意，因為佢見到呢個異象，佢哋擁抱呢個異象。
But everyone was willing because they saw and embraced this vision.
但係佢哋唔知道籌完錢之後，但係其實仲係未完嘅，因為仲係未計，未曾夠5萬蚊係算得乜嘢咧？所以我哋亦都係呼籲會友咧，可唔可以免息貸款借俾教會？
But even after that, they find that it was not enough, because 50,000 is just so little. So they had went out and asked for interest-free loans.
你話教會唔係富裕嘅教會嘅人，我哋邊度揾到咁多錢出嚟咧？
We are not a wealthy church, and we don't have wealthy people. So how can we get that amount of money?
但我哋唔知點樣，我哋終於係籌到。
But at the end, we did come up raise the fund.
我唔知其他人點啊，但係咧，我講我自己，當時我只係積蓄到3200蚊。
At the time myself, I have about $3,200 of savings.
唔係好多錢，但係咧係完全係借俾教會，自己冇留一分文喺度嘅。
And I have loaned all of it to the church.
有一個姊妹，佢將佢啲私己係借俾教會，佢老公都唔知，因為佢老公反對教會嘅，所以係大約係借咗18000蚊俾教會。
And there's a sister who have in there from her personal fund, personal money that her husband doesn't know, but she loaned about $18,000 to the
有
church.
另外一個青年嘅大學生咧，佢係因為得到政府嘅獎學金啊、資助金咧，佢咧就係借咗俾萬幾蚊俾教會，佢唔係攞嚟自己用啊，佢係響政府攞到又借俾教會嘅。
And there are university students who have bursary from the government, and he took this money and loaned it to the church.
我哋就都總共籌到9萬蚊嘅。
So at the end, we will raise about $90,000.
最後我哋只不過需要響總會裏邊係借91000蚊咁上下。
So at the end, we have to loan from the head office about the $90,000.
當我哋齊心合意嚟擁抱異象嘅時候，一啲唔可能造成嘅都可能。
Then when we embrace a vision in unity, we can make things impossible become possible.
單止咁樣，42年之前呢間教會係總值係32萬，但係其實唔單止值咁少嘅。
Even though that the estimate of the church is about 320,000, but actually the value of the church exceeds that.
因為1年之後有一個人嚟到估價呢個間教會，話呢間教會就係值得48萬啊，唔係32萬啊，因為你咁多材料啊，支住呢個係值咁多噶啦。
And after a year after the building was built, someone came to make an estimate of the church. They said this church should worth about $480,000, not 320.
點解我哋慳到咁多錢咧？
How could that happen?
由48萬慳到成32萬咧？就一來就係呢個建築商咧，佢係減價嚟到俾我哋幫我哋起嘅。
And one of the reason is that the builders, they have given us discount
另
when they
外
build the
最
church.
重要就係我哋有好多義工嚟到去幫手嘅，
And more importantly, there's a lot of volunteers when we build the church.
減輕好多嘅建築費用。我哋係知道，但係已經係出咗個力嚟到去代替呢個錢嘅。
And using the labor to replace the instead of paying for this money.
講開呢一個義工咧，我應該講未建教會之前咧，有一件咁嘅故事俾大家知道。
And before we build a church, there's a story.
我哋未起間教會呢個地方幾尺地咧係一個荒地，抌低兩三年我諗起碼。
And we bought this piece of land for a couple of years, but it's not being used.
等於我哋響呢個潮州會館側邊嗰塊地仔啊，成日啲生啲樹出嚟㗎，生到好高嘅。呢個成塊地啲生咗，變成一個樹林。
If you know that in the side of the church we have a piece of a small strip of land, a lot of times there was bushes that grow, but at that time the whole land was full of those bushes.
政府發出告票又警告話咧，你哋如果唔再清理啲樹咧，我哋就會罰你款。
And the city at that time give us a warning: if you do not clean up this, clean it up, then we will penalize you.
我哋當時冇錢請人斬，我哋就自己嚟斬。
At that time, we didn't hire anyone to help us. We just do it ourselves.
但係教裏邊嗰啲弟兄咧，好少有屋㗎。
But at that time, many of the brothers do not have a house.
你所有呢咁我哋斬樹嘅工具都係冇嘅。
So we have no tools to cut down the bushes or
斬
trees.
樹日咧，大多數志願者嚟都係空手嚟嘅，點斬啊？
A lot of volunteers came, but they came without any tools.
我最深刻嘅印象就係乜嘢咧？就係恩伯啊，恩傳志細伯咧，佢係做取嘅。佢係租屋嘅，所以佢冇任何工具，佢就喺屋企裏面攞把中國人嘅廚房嘅菜刀嚟斬樹。
And what impressed me the most at that time was that Senior Mr. Yan, he's a cook, and he went home and took out his cleaver to come and help to cut down the trees.
我明白咩叫刀仔過去大樹嘅意思啊，原來係咁嘅意思嚟嘅。
Now understand what they mean by cutting down a tree with a small knife.
但係有志者事竟成。我哋居然呢啲人咧赤手空拳啊，冇乜工具嘅，可以冚低晒咁多樹出嚟，萬幾尺嘅地方嘅樹。
Yet, in unity, we were able to accomplish what we wanted to do. That we had to clear up this area.
我喺嗰時候見到咧，唔好睇小呢個志願者嘅力量，因為你叫佢跳，佢就會話幾高，佢哋唔會懷疑嘅。
And do not belittle what the volunteers can accomplish, but they ask you how high, and they will actually jump that high.
另外一樣嘢就係咧，當我哋建造呢個教會嘅地基之後啦。
Another thing is that after we have set the foundation of the church.
嗱，如果大家睇外邊嘅時候，知道呢個地基係圍住咧，其實係一個框咁嘅。呢度咧有兩個大嘅框。然後中間咧係擺啲地板好長嘅咧，係駁成佢嘅，好似搭條橋咁。然後咧呢成為一個地。
And you understand that the foundation, we just surround two big blocks that surround the area, and then we put the slabs on top of this foundation as the floor.
我哋安排咗係訂咗啲咁嘅地板啊，就係長嘅地板，有25尺長，大約係咁闊噶啦。4、5尺闊，有25尺長嘅啲地板咧，好多係7000尺平方尺嘅地板咧，係響安達省運過嚟嘅，所以係由啲平板嘅拖車咧係拖過嚟。
So we arranged the delivery of these slabs that are 25 feet long, about 4 or 5 feet wide, and they were delivered from Ontario.
響嗰日佢哋運到嚟嘅時候，好墟冚一架長嘅車咧，係一直排隊咁嚟到咧，諗住要落貨嘅。
And we have a total of about 7,000 square feet of those slabs. So when they came to deliver it, we see a whole line of trucks delivering these slabs.
然後我哋租咗呢個起重機咧，嚟到將啲咁嘅地板咧嚟吊起，然後放落一架咁放落去。
And we need a crane to lift these slabs and put down on the foundation, on top of the foundation.
問題喺呢度啊，因為咧我哋請啲咁嘅工作人員啦，起地基係還起地基，放地板還放地板，係大家冇連接嘅喎。
The problem at the time that we hire the person the builder who built the foundation and those who put on the slab separately.
原來當未放地板之前咧，嗰啲每一格嘅地基中間咧係一堆嘅泥啊嘅山仔啊，係咧突咗出嚟，冇辦法放塊地板上去平嘅。
And before we put on the slabs, that we've discovered there are a mountain of dirt in between in the holes around in
所
the
以我哋要請
foundation.
呢個鏟泥車咧嚟到鏟平佢，先至俾佢哋放落去嘅。
And we needed to have a truck to remove this dirt or to level the dirt before we
之
can
前嗰日我
put the
等咗
slab
一日，
on.
個鏟泥車冇嚟到，
And we have arranged for that truck to come, that equipment to come, but yet they did not come.
點算啊？呢啲司機啲大嘅貨車嚟到嘅時候，佢哋唔會幫你鏟嘅，都唔會等你鏟泥車，白白等佢嚟到先鏟嘅，唔知等幾多日噶嘛？佢哋要抌低佢哋走噶啦。
And what do we do? The truck that delivered them will just come and deliver it and dump it on top of whatever they have. They will not remove the dirt for you
最
or
後
level
冇
the
辦法
dirt
啦。
for you.
當時咧，啱啱咧有潘柏豪菲利普河江場反為何咧？阿坎嚟到揾嘢做，揾嘅幫手做。
So at that time that we have Philip Wong, Paco and Julio and Andrew who came.
我同你講咩咁嘅情形，佢就話：跟住我哋一齊嚟做。
So they said, well, let's go, let's do it ourselves.
青年人好有幹勁喎，佢哋唔怕，佢哋又有熱誠喺裏邊啊！我哋一做掘就一做唱，非勢力非才能，呢個大山咧可以挪開嘅。
And they were singing that not by might and not by power, and then they just keep on working on removing this dirt.
好辛苦，其實好呢個石好重嘅，要幾個人都唔知道乜方法點樣撬得起。
And you look at that piece of concrete; it's really heavy.
呢個柏豪呢個，
And Paco was over there.
感謝神，我哋一班青年人係將個山剷平咗。
And thanks God, the found that this group of young people were able to level that mountain.
單止咁啊！呢間教會點解慳到咁多錢咧？其實好多嘢都係自己做嘅。
And not only that, a lot of the work that and building the church were done by the congregation.
呢個係由李超元弟兄咧指揮一班義工，係嗰啲義工嗰啲係從來冇用過錘頭釘嘅嚟到去舞台嘅。
And the stage here was directed by the volunteer was directed by Daniel Lee and building it, and a lot of volunteers. It's the first time that we took up a hammer.
呢個就 Linda 啦，呢個就係劉婉薇Alison。
There's Linda and also Allison.
你唔好怕呢個台咧，有嗰啲咁業餘嘅人點樣做得到啊？已經有40年咁耐啦，好穩陣。
You don't need to be afraid. The stage has been there for 40 years and is still standing.
呢個就係我就啱啱聽呢度啦。呢個台係自己做㗎，係慳咗好多錢。
And we have saved a lot of money.
啲油係自己油嘅。
And we painted the walls.
呢個廚房嘅廚櫃係自己起嘅。
And the cabinets we built in the kitchen.
甚至乎有一日呢個李超元弟兄去為教會買油漆嘅油嘅時候，係跌斷咗個腳。 佢打石膏之後係單腳嚟幫教會起嘅。
And Daniel Lee that he broke his leg when he was purchasing the paint, and yet he came with the cast.
所以呢間教會唔係我起嘅，乃係好多無名籍籍無名嘅志願者一齊嚟到係合作同心嚟。
I did not build this church by myself. It's a lot of nameless volunteers who came to build this church.
諗翻轉頭，其實起間教會係冇可能。
When look back, it's impossible. Looks impossible to build a
所以
church.
當時嗰班領袖除咗一位之外，就係李超元弟兄之外咧，其他咧係30歲以下。其實當時真係不知天高地厚。
And looking back, the leaders of the church, they many of them, or most of them, are under the 30 years old, and they really exaggerate their own. Have an exaggerated opinion of their
但係
abilities.
正所謂初生之犢不畏虎，長成犄角咧係倒爬龍。
And the Chinese saying that the young that they really carefree and without worries and doing things.
呢個就係神所點解要揀選係年輕人嘅其中嘅原因，因為佢天不怕地不怕，佢哋唔睇環境，唔睇佢哋唔怕啲事，佢將信心擺喺神嘅裏邊。
And that's one of the reasons why God choose young people to do His will, because they will not look at the circumstances and be afraid, and they just follow what God
我
commanded
哋
to do.
信靠個能夠做得到成就比我哋能力更加大嘅神。
And they rely upon a God who is able to accomplish what what he wants.
我肯定講一句說話，呢間教會所要存在係一個神蹟嚟嘅，因為神用一間冇錢嘅教會，係冇能力軟弱嘅教會，嚟到建成呢個彰顯佢榮耀嘅教會。
And I can tell you, the building of this church is really a miracle. But God used the people who have no money and no talent to build this church to glorify Him.
我問一個問題：40年之後及今日，
Let me ask you a question. After 40 years
大
today,
多數建堂嘅元老派已經都唔喺度啦，
and all those who built the church are no longer with us.
根本係好少佢哋咧係能夠享用到嘅勞苦所結出嘅果子。
And for them, that they did not enjoy the fruit of the labor.
我問嘅問題就係、到底佢哋嘅勞苦，佢哋換得乜嘢咧？到底值唔值得咧？
Then I just questioned that all the sacrifice, all the pain, is it worth it for them?
你話值唔值得咧？
Is it worth it for them?
咁辛苦出錢出力，一冇坐嗰啲凳幾耐就走咗啦，搬咗去啦，或者
And they give the energy and their money, and yet they did not have the time to enjoy what they built.
李超元弟兄起完呢間教會冇幾耐，佢就搬走咗去第二度。
And Brother Lee, that he after building the church, not long after he moved away.
我希望大家知道，你問個問題值唔值得？我話好值得。
And if you ask me, is it worth it? I'll tell you, it's really worth it.
你如果覺得唔值得，就係因為你人生觀產生錯誤啊！
If you find that it is not worth it, that means your philosophy is mistaken.
你以為一個人嘅滿足感係在乎安逸啦、享受啦，先可以得到滿足？
Because your value is based upon the comfort and enjoyment.
你要明白到原來呢個開墾者嘅心態啊，就係咧佢哋唔問耕耘，不問只問耕耘，不問收穫。
And you need to understand that we are only not concerned about the harvest, but rather we're concerned about the sowing.
對志願者嚟講，就係因為佢能夠貢獻個力量嘅時候，呢個就係成為佢哋滿足感嚟嘅。
And the satisfaction of these people that because they were able to contribute.
唔係即係我講啊，你係講到馬斯洛，係講到需求層次嘅理論嘅時候，大家都知道呢個咁嘅理論啦，就係講到咧，原來有5層嘅人嘅需要嘅滿足感。
And it talks about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
響肉身裏邊嘅安息啊，係最低嘅滿足感。
And the physical comfort or the needs are actually is the lowest level of satisfaction.
如果古列王叫你出嚟去翻巴勒斯坦，要出錢出力啊，要捱苦嘅時候，你覺得我哋喺呢度舒服啲啦，你個滿足感係最低嘅。
And when the Cyrus king of Persia asked you to go and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, and you say that, well, I want to remain in my comfort here, that the satisfaction you gain from that is the lowest level of
馬斯
satisfaction.
洛所講最高滿足感嘅就係能夠發揮到人最大嘅潛力。
And actually, the higher level of satisfaction that man can attain, according to Maslow, is that we is through this self-actualization.
我哋知道呢個係神所天賦俾佢哋與生俱來嘅最高嘅潛力。如果能夠發揮得到，能夠使用呢個使命感嘅時候，我哋係得到最高嘅滿足嘅。
By reaching the potential God has given you, and that will bring us to the highest level of satisfaction.
人生裏邊最高嘅滿足之一就係能夠喺度做志願嘅工作，投身喺呢個開荒嘅工作底下。
And the most satisfaction you can gain in life is that you involve yourself into volunteering and helping.
當你了解呢個意象係從天俾你嘅時候，你咧會係甘心樂意，唔會怕你有幾大嘅犧牲。
And when you realize this is something that God given you, then you will not afraid to go ahead and do that.
所以神嘅兒女啊，我希望大家要做一個有使命嘅咁嘅人，唔能夠貪圖呢個安逸。
And so, brothers and sisters, and the children of God, I encourage you not to covet the comfort that you're in.
人生係以服務大眾為目的嘅。
In our life, that our goal should be to serve the people around us.
當我哋服侍呢個世代嘅時候，上個2個禮拜講大衛服侍呢個世代，就一樣嘅，就係呢個係我哋神俾我哋最高嘅目標同埋呼召。
And when we serve this society or this world, that we are actually attaining the potential that God has given us.
毫無呼召、毫無挑戰嘅人生就係我哋睇電視啦、上網啦、打麻雀啦、遊山玩水、旅行啦、舒舒服服咁樣嘆下世界啦，呢個係最低嘅滿足。
and to gain the comfort of being doing the things that you want, go traveling or the entertaining yourself. These are the lowest level of
弟
satisfaction
兄
you
姊
can
妹啊
gain.
響呢個疫情2年之後啊，我哋要重新嚟再揾翻下我哋有咩使命喺我哋嘅生命嘅裏邊咧？
And after that, we've been confined for 2 years because of the pandemic. We had to rediscover the goal in our lives
我哋做一個有使命嘅人生。
and to once again live a life that has a sense of
我哋提
mission.
到我哋教會裏邊嘅張明瑞教授，
And we had to mention our Dr. John of our church.
我講過幾次啦，不過今趟咧希望大家唔介意，我再講多次。就係60年之前，60多幾年之前咧，佢仲係讀緊大學嘅時候，佢喺佢個 apartment 裏邊係發明咗呢一個人造血。
And 60 years ago, when he was still in university, that he discovered how to make artificial blood in them.
簡單一件事㗎，因為呢個係好大嘅創舉嚟嘅。
It actually is not an easy thing to do.
啲製藥嘅公司咧聽到之後咧，哇！新發現喎，希望咧出錢嚟買做咗呢個人造血嘅版權。
And many pharmaceutical companies were willing to buy the right to this artificial
但
blood.
係張教授佢覺得呢個人造血係神所賜俾世人嘅。
But Dr. Chung feel that this artificial blood is something that God gave him.
佢唔敢攞翻俾佢自己，亦都唔敢賣俾呢個咁嘅藥行。
That he don't want to retain it for himself. Now that he does want to sell it to the pharmaceutical
佢
companies.
居然做一件咧，真係人想象唔到嘅事情，就係佢將呢個秘密嘅方程式啊，毫無保留係公諸世，喺呢個醫藥雜誌裏邊咧發表出嚟。
That he did the unthinkable is to reveal the secret of this secret formula of this artificial blood to the whole
我
world.
相信大多人都唔會咁樣做。
I
因為
believe a majority of the people will not do
雖然
that.
係太過崇高嘅壯舉啊，但係咧係好大嘅犧牲啊，因為呢個係金礦嚟噶嘛，你會賺好多錢噶嘛。
Though it's noble, yet this is a great sacrifice because we actually sitting on a gold mine.
如果佢當時賣咗，我真係佢係好有錢嘅。
And if he sold this right, then that he would be very wealthy.
60年來佢冇後悔，我睇到佢係冇後悔嘅。
Yeah, I see that after 60 years, he had not a moment that he regretted.
佢冇後悔，點解唔將個版權留翻俾自己？點解為着咗呢個佢自己所辛苦得嚟嘅嚟去賺下錢？
And he did not regret not retaining it for himself and not to enjoy the fruit of his labor.
因為一個有使命感嘅人咧，名權利息對佢嚟講係唔重要嘅。
For one who have a sense of mission, all this fame and wealth is nothing to them.
佢嘅目標就係點樣善用佢人生嚟到完成神俾佢嘅人生裏邊嘅使命同埋呼召。
And their goal in life is how to accomplish what God has given them to do in this life.
幾年之前咧，張博士咧嘅張教授咧係被選為麥基爾校友嘅被選咧呢個最傑出嘅麥基爾人。
And several years ago, that Dr. John was selected to be the greatest Magillian.
聽嚟好簡單，其實真係唔簡單㗎。
It may be simple for us, but actually it's not that simple.
因為麥基裏邊咧好多有名有成就、好有名嘅人喺當中嘅。
Because among the graduate alumni of McGill, there's a lot of famous people.
被提名嘅有省長啦，有鼎鼎大名嘅醫生啦，有出名嘅電影明星啦，諸如此類嘅。
Nominees among nominees, there are the premiers, there are the celebrities.
但係最後佢壓倒晒所有呢啲咁嘅人咧，係得到呢個被選為最傑出嘅麥基爾人。
And yet at the end that he received this honor to be the greatest Magillian.
今年佢第4次係被提名，係諾貝爾獎嘅。
And this year is the 4th time he's been nominated for the Nobel Prize.
無論佢得到還是唔得到，我希望佢得到，因為真係好大嘅犧牲一個人。但係咧，無論佢得到唔得到，我想佢從來佢發現呢個人造血嘅時候，冇諗到會有咁高嘅榮譽。
No matter whether he will receive this prize or not, but I believe that when he invented this artificial blood, he never thought that he would have gained all this fame.
因為佢目標係正確，佢嘅心志係要造福人群。
because his goal is clear that he want to benefit mankind.
佢今年係80幾歲，
Today he's over 80 years
希
old.
望你大家嗰張介紹你唔好介意我講你幾多出咗你煲啊，你因為睇嚟咧真係60零歲咁嘅啫。佢仲係努力喺呢個大學裏邊工作。
And I hope that you don't mind that I reveal your age, but yet he's still working diligently at
其
the
實佢20
university.
年之前就要退休噶啦，
That he actually could have retired 20 some years ago.
但係佢仍然喺麥基大學呢個醫學研究院裏邊咧做呢個人造血嘅嗰個科裏邊嘅主任。
But yet he is still the head of the artificial blood program in McGill.
唔係要賺多啲錢咧，佢係做義工唔收薪水㗎。
Not that he is going to make more money, but rather he's just a volunteer.
工作就一樣，錢就冇嘅。
And he worked the same as he did before, yet he is not receiving any salary.
你話點都咁大年紀，點解仲係繼續做咧？
So why does he still continue to work at his age?
我唔知個原因係乜嘢啊！如果你需要知道咧，你直接問佢。
I don't know why, but if you want to know why, you could ask him yourself.
但係據我所了解嘅，呢個就係一個有使命感嘅人，係唔容易放棄佢嘅
But what I do
理想嘅。
understand is that those who have a sense of mission, they will never give up.
因為呢個人做唔係只係初步人做，因為60年已經發展咗好多嘅，有好多工廠係幫佢做緊嘅嘢嘅。
And he just not in the development stage of this artificial blood, because a lot of the different companies and factories, they're already manufacturing it.
世界上有好多嘅大學都係研究緊呢樣嘢，點樣繼續咧係利用呢個人造嘅繼續用同埋配合醫學嘅醫療技術咧係醫治更多嘅人。
And many of the university are still researching how to apply this artificial blood to help more people.
我諗當佢睇到60年裏邊救咗好多唔少嘅人。
And I see that throughout the 60 years that this invention or discovery have helped many
尤其是
people.
90年代呢個 HIV 呢個 tainted blood 即係嗰啲血污染咗咧個流血方嘅時候咧，係取代咗啲人造血，取咗啲人嘅血嘅時候咧，係救咗無數嘅人。
And especially during the 90s, where we have the HIV tinted blood event, where we ran our blood, but these artificial blood have saved many people,
呢個
many
滿足
lives.
感係大過所有金錢能夠帶到俾佢嘅。
And that satisfaction of saving lives, bringing more, is greater than the wealth that he might have
所以為
attained.
佢祈禱啊，希望神咧俾佢咧開條路咧係能夠攞到嘅諾貝爾獎。
So let's pray for him, that may ask God to open a way for him so that he will receive the Nobel
最
Prize.
後我提到一樣嘢，
Lastly, I want to mention to you
就係幾個禮拜之前，我喺主日裏邊發出個呼籲。
that several weeks ago that I have called out to people,
我哋喺呢個月尾，我哋會停止網上高嘅敬拜聚會。
and that we at the end of this month we will stop the meeting online.
我呼籲就係當我哋停止敬拜網上敬拜聚會嘅時候，有冇志願嘅人會考慮咧係接送一啲有困難嚟到教會嘅崇拜嘅人嚟
And
崇拜？
I asked if there's anyone who would help those who have difficulty coming to the church to bring them into the church.
我唔敢奢望，我估係會有咁嘅人嚟到去回應。
And I did not think that I'll get any response.
因為個個人都係會即係最自己舒服，唔使太多咧步就最好噶啦嘛。Well, I think people probably would prefer to enjoy their own comfort and not going out of the way. That's the best arrangement. 但係估唔到，起碼有2位志願人原來係肯踏出嚟。
But unexpectedly, at least 2 people came out.
其中一個就係梁新元，
One of them is Mr. Lam.
因為佢打電話俾我，
He called me.
我做乜嘢都好似冇乜能力。
It seemed that I couldn't do much.
但係今日你今堂講話你要接送人，佢話我可以啊，我願意咁做啊。
But to drive people, that this is something I can't do.
哇！我聽到之後我好感動啊！居然有人肯回應呢個咁嘅挑戰。
And I was really moved that someone actually respond to this challenge.
但係我諗下啲接教裏邊人有啲近有啲遠，咁我諗下可能佢都要怕遠㗎，太辛苦啦。咁我就安排一個近近地嘅俾佢嚟接啦。
At that time, I thought, well, there's people who live far and near. Perhaps I just arrange someone near for him to pick up.
但係呢個8月開始嘅，
It will begin in August.
2個禮拜之後，阿梁同我講，我同一個肢體我唔講名啦，佢咧係遠啲嘅肢體，我要去接佢。
And after 2 weeks, he called, well, there's someone who's a little bit further, but I'm willing to pick him up as well.
我冇提過呢個肢體嘅，我都唔好意思問，因為太遠啦。
And I have never mentioned it, and even for me, that's too far.
但係當佢咁講嘅時候，我俾佢嚇傻咗啦。
But when he mentioned that, I was shocked.
因為我低估咗呢一個志願者嘅潛力啊。
Because it's the potential. This is show the potential of a
頭
volunteer.
先我講過，原來志願者如果佢認清咗呢使命呢個負擔嘅時候，你叫佢跳，佢就會話幾高。你叫佢衝個埲牆，佢穿個埲牆。
And when the volunteer is able to embrace and see the clear vision, that then no matter how high you ask him to jump, he will jump that high. And even if you ask him to go through the wall, he will go through the wall.
原來佢所有嘅負擔係超過我所想像，佢願意付出嘅超過我所想像嘅。
And it's exceeding my expectation what he is willing to pick up and do.
當然被車嘅人有陣時會覺得唔好意思，但係我今日同佢講，我話唔好覺得唔好意思，我哋要鼓勵佢，因為佢呢個係佢嘅使命嚟嘅。
And the people who are being picked up may feel uncomfortable. I told them, no, don't need to do that. Don't need to feel uncomfortable because it's something you're willing to do.
有使命嘅人嗰個付出係點樣樣？
We need to understand how much those who have a sense of mission are willing to give up.
如果我哋怕麻煩人嘅時候咧，我哋就唔會喺呢間教會噶啦，我哋就唔會話咧去走去揾啲人一齊嚟到去鏟啲泥咁辛苦，因為怕麻煩人啊嘛。但係我哋要知道，原來一班咁嘅有志願嘅人咧係樂意咁樣做。
And we find that we don't want inconvenient people. Then we will not be able to find people who will come to build a church or to remove that amount of dirt or anything else.
今日我所講嘅就係呢班無名、寂寂無名嘅志願者。
And today we want to highlight those who are nameless volunteers.
係教會嘅棟梁，係社會嘅棟梁。
And they are the pillars of the society, the pillar of the church.
係神嘅國只能夠向前行嘅一個秘訣嚟嘅。
And it's the secret of how God's kingdom would advance.
弟兄姊妹，我哋唔好懼怕擁抱神嘅呼召同埋神嘅使命。
We don't please not to be afraid of God's
因為呢個先能夠帶到你最高嘅滿足感，
mission.
嚟到使到你達到你最高嘅潛力。
Because it will bring you the highest satisfaction and you will attain the highest potential that God given you.
喺呢個自我中心嘅世代裏邊，
That we in this self-centered world,
我哋已經失去咗呢一個開國者、開墾者嘅心態嘅精神。
and we have lost the attitude of a pioneer.
我哋只係懂得嚟享受先人所建築嘅一個成果嘅勞碌。
And we are only learn how to enjoy the fruit of the labor of the
喺呢
generation
個疫情
before.
嘅關閉嘅底下，我哋更加係顯著又出咗多問題。
And especially under the confinement of the pandemic, that we have discovered more problems and issues.
更加多人係更加自己顧自己，貪圖安逸。
And we are more looking after ourselves.
最好唔需要出國，最好唔喺屋企裏邊做嘢，最好喺教會裏邊咧，喺屋企裏邊參加教會聚會。
It would be for the best that we don't go anywhere and work from home and attend the service online.
但我希望你知道呢個滿足感係最低嘅。
But I want you to know this is just the first level of
咁
satisfaction.
嘅人生咧係太過消極，係太過冇志氣。
And such a life is so negative and so lacking ambition.
每一個神嘅兒女有更高嘅呼召，有更大嘅使命。
And that every children of God, they have a higher calling, a more important
所以
mission.
今日我哋睇完呢個咁嘅經文之後，我哋希望大家振作起嚟。
And as we read the scripture before, we want all of you to stand up,
重新嚟到學習，喺神裏邊得到個使命感。
to relearn how to receive the sense of mission from
我哋
God.
先祈求神啊，神啊，俾我新嘅異象啦，俾我新嘅使命啦，俾我新嘅挑戰啦，使到我能夠活出更有意義嘅人生。
And ask God to give a new vision, a new challenge, a new mission,
能夠盡用我一世所有嘅潛力嚟去服侍你。
so that I can use everything I have to serve you.
我哋唱一首詩歌，我哋就會結束啦。大家請大家起立啦。
Let's stand and we'll sing a song as we conclude.
本來我應該唱一首咧係 沒有你，只有那有我嘅。但係咧呢首歌英文譯得唔係太好，所以咧有另外一首就係唔會出外。